Let's begin today's webinar, and many thanks to everyone for joining. And my name is Jones, and welcome to APU. So today we're very happy to have a special guest, that is Dr. Yuri Kondo, and she's come to tell us a little bit about the background and circumstances leading up to the filing of a lawsuit concerning Article 11.1 of the Nationality Law. So we're really looking forward to this discussion and to finding out a little bit more about this legal article, but also to having a more general discussion about dual nationality in Japan and around the world.
Thank you for your kind introduction. I am very honored to be invited here to speak to you in this site, and I hope that we can have very active discussion. And I would like to clarify a lot of maybe anxieties people may have about their nationalities or dual nationalities or triple nationalities or whatever. Maybe I can help some people who might feel anxious. So I would like to know about yourselves. How many people know the Nationality Law 11-1? Is anyone familiar with the law a little bit? Yeah. So other people maybe not so familiar, right? Yeah, that's very normal. I didn't know it either. When I got the US nationality by naturalization, I wasn't really clear about what is the law. And so the law says that when a Japanese national or citizen somehow obtains another country's nationality, then that Japanese citizen loses Japanese nationality. The law says that, but it doesn't explain how and when. The law itself doesn't say it. But then the government, I think mainly Foreign Ministry and then maybe Ministry of Justice, their view is that as soon as you get the other nationality, like naturalization, on the spot at the same time, instantaneously, you lose the Japanese nationality. But interestingly, the Japanese government doesn't know or have no way of knowing who does naturalize or who gets another country's nationality, because there is no reporting system usually, except Germany and Australia and some other countries. Not many had a reporting system when some other nationals get their nationality by naturalization. They used to report. But then Australia abolished that law. I don't remember how many years ago. Do you remember? Maybe 2002 or 2003, some time ago, many, many years ago. And then interestingly, Germany, which used to be really strict, like Japan, used to have a nationality law very similar to Japan. And if a German national naturalizes or obtains other nationality, then they will lose a German nationality. It was very similar to Japanese one. And then strangely, somehow, Japan and Germany had a mutual agreement for notification. So if somebody from Japan goes to Germany and then naturalize and get a German nationality, then that person's naturalization is reported to Japan. So there is no way to escape. But other than these very small number of countries, there was and there hasn't been any other countries who notify the people who naturalize to their nationality. So practically speaking, the Japanese government has no way of knowing who is doing what in terms of obtaining other countries' nationality. So in my court case, which was filed in June of 2022, we asked the government, does the government have any estimate or statistical data regarding how many people have naturalized or somehow obtained the other country's nationality so that you can control? And their answer is, interestingly, we have no way of knowing. So they don't have even estimate. So they confess that they have no way of knowing. So our question is, if you don't know how many people and who are doing this, how do you control them? How do you say such and such person lost Japanese nationality? In my case, because I kind of came out earlier that I naturalized into the US nationality, so they kind of knew, so they tried to chase me around and tried to let me submit this certificate, which I have to sign and submit, saying I lost my Japanese nationality, which I have been refusing to submit. So they don't have that. And also, in order to delete or cross out my koseki, household register, people are familiar with, I'm sure, which usually is used for proof of Japanese nationality, that my koseki is still intact, not crossed out. So although the government is quite maybe sure, they have to say they have a great suspicion that I have naturalized. So they kind of refused issue of my passport, Japanese passport, in 2017. And then when I asked, so are you refusing, officially refusing to issue my passport? And their answer was no, it's not a refusal. But they made a technical way to do the same practically. So they waited until my application expired after 6 months. Then that application no longer effective. So they practically refused, although it is not official refusal. So that's what happened to me. And then unless someone like myself who naturalized to other countries' nationality, unless they submit certificate that we lost Japanese nationality by ourselves, and also a certificate of naturalization from the country where we got the naturalization, government does not go on to cross out koseki. So I still have my koseki. So it's very interesting. It's very messy. So we learned about this law, right? And then another issue of dual nationality. The government is in the court case also insisting that this law, Article 11-1, is rational and it's justifiable because the government has this ideal that a person should have one nationality, not multiple. So for that purpose, it is justified to have this law. So in this lawsuit, we are saying that this is unconstitutional and this law should be abolished. But then their way of counter-arguing is that this law is constitutional because the original cause of this law was to make as much as possible that a person has only one nationality. So by listening to this government's argument, one might think, oh, Japan does not allow dual nationality or multiple nationalities. And in general, society in general, people believe that Japan prohibits dual nationality. That is a big lie. It's not true. Actually, about 2018, I think, the the government's estimate, this also information was given out in the reply of the government in this lawsuit. There are 925,000 potentially dual nationals existed in Japan. So we are not saying that all those people are dual nationals or triple or multiple nationalities, but then near 1 million people have potentially multiple nationalities. And then they are left alone, a lot of them are. So it is not true that the Japanese government prohibits dual nationality. In fact, actually, there are many who are dual nationals. And as you might know, in 1984, there was a nationality law revision. Maybe you are too young to know, but when we were young, only Japanese men could transmit their nationality to their children. So we cannot know when Japanese woman and Japanese man marry and then have kids. They are, of course, Japanese, right? So nobody really knew clearly, oh, it's only men who are giving the nationality. But actually, it was only men who could do it. So that was proven when a Japanese woman married a foreign man. And then the kids who are born into their marriage, even if they live and then the babies are born in Japan, they were no Japanese. They couldn't get Japanese nationality in our, when we were young. And we worked hard to change the law. So it was changed in 1984. And now it's both ways. A Japanese mother or Japanese father can transmit Japanese nationality. So after that law change, there are many more dual nationals. Maybe one of you might be one of those marriages. And maybe in this community at APU, I heard that more than half of the students are foreign students. And then professors are also like a half foreign. So in this kind of, and also administrators and other people who work in the school. So I'm sure there are many, many international families live here, and then kids are born or brought into Japan, etc., etc. So this issue of nationality or dual nationality is very close to you problems, right? So I'm sure there are many people who wonder what their nationality. So I'm sure there are many people who wonder what their nationality is. And then some people might have multiple nationalities and then wonder, how could we keep those nationalities? And the technicality, how to do it, right? It's not easy. It's very complicated. So one issue, I have been asked many, many questions from people all over Japan and also foreign countries. I get emails all the time. How about this case? How about my case? And then lately, I have seen many questioning, how about my children who are about to be 16, 18, and dual nationals? And we have to choose Japan or like England, UK, or America, or Philippines, or whatever the other countries' nationality. And then often I found that some people are so majime, so serious, and very, very honest. They read the law. It says, okay, recently the maturity age changed to 18. So before it was 20. So by 22, previously, people had to choose either Japanese or the other nationality, the law says. And then now, because maturity age changed, it's by 20, children of dual nationality would have to choose one. So they really seriously think that they have to cross out one nationality. And often I heard from the people whose one parent is from like Europe or US or, so-called Western developed countries, they often say, oh, it's too bad. We have to let my son or daughter give up Japanese nationality because they have to choose, they think. So I just said, wait a minute, you don't need to. So I have been telling people, no, you don't really need to do that seriously. And this Article 14 of Nationality Law is telling that you have to choose. But in practicality, now actually what is happening is that maybe hundreds of thousands of people never make choices. Many, many people live overseas or even inside Japan. I have one niece who is, I think, 45, something like that. She is a dual national with the US by birth because she was born in US. She never made any choice, and she's living quite fine, although she's hiding that she's dual national. But there is no problem. Nobody's chasing after her or try to deprive her of Japanese nationality. She is living in Japan and never left Japan, so she has no problem. So I just tell those parents, oh, you don't have to worry too much. Maybe you can do nothing. And then the government has this policy of deemed to have chosen Japanese nationality. So if you don't do any official selection or choice, the government will just deem you to have chosen Japanese. So there is no problem. So then US, Japan dual national or Japan, UK dual nationals, they can just be as you are, just stay on and nothing would happen actually. And then the parents, some of them were like a journalist interviewing me. And then they were so excited. Oh my God, you made my day. They were very happy. So still I get a lot of questions like that. So I want people to know that there's no need to be so worried about it. So about this by birth dual nationals or multiple nationality people, they have a different kind of actual status compared to this Article 11-1, which is us. Somehow the government is so strict in a not very balanced way. We call it discrimination under the law, so which is unconstitutional. For this Article 14 applied to people like that, it can be relaxed, and all their lives they can be triple nationality or dual nationalities actually. But then for us, although the government would have hard time finding out who naturalized, except people like me who came out and telling. So if they find those people, then they would, the government would be very, very strict and hard on them. And then sometimes in foreign countries, Japanese consulate and embassy people almost like forcefully collect those certificates or that they lost Japanese nationalities and also naturalization certificates. So we protested against that kind of actions too. But it's very interesting that Article 14 and Article 11-1 people to whom those laws apply, they get a very different kind of almost discriminated. And why did I decide to bring the court case? Because of my own situation too, but because I have been a lawyer in the United States, particularly in Arizona. I have helped many people who kind of have life in both ends, Japan and the US, and then a lot of relatives on both ends by international marriage or just being there. And then I found that many people ask me as to what to do when their parents are getting old and sick, they want to go home to take care of them, right, towards the end of their parents' lives. And then they often go back to Japan from the US. And then a lot of people stayed as a green card holders. Maybe you are familiar with the term green card, which is like a permanent residency permit, not the right, but permit. So a lot of Japanese people stay having the green card, not naturalized, for many, many years. And I was like that too for about maybe 30 years or 25 years. But then they find that it is so restrictive because these days, if you have a green card from the US, if you are away from US for 6 months or more, then you get into trouble. I know some people whose green card have been taken away at the immigration when they come back after like 7 months or something like that. And then the immigration officer arbitrarily decide and then say, well, you don't really live in the US, you don't need the green card, and then take it away. That can happen. So some people say, what to do? So sometimes I had to say, well, if you become a citizen, then you can go and come and then there is no restriction. But then we found that on the other side, there was a problem because when you go back to Japan and stay there and then try to take care of their parents, if the government find out that you have naturalized in the US because you have US passport, then they will chase after you. So you know, those people are never really kind of secure in terms of the feelings. And especially that became very obvious when the Corona situation happened. As you know, that Japan had a restrictive policy during the Corona. And those people who had permanent residency, even in Japan, and some like university jobs or whatever, some of them wouldn't be able to come back to Japan to teach, had to wait. I think for foreign students also had a visa and then about to come to Japan to start the new academic year, they were told to stop. So they had to wait. And it was like a full 2 years, maybe they had to wait. So that happened to those people who have naturalized in the US or all over the world. They, some of them had no passport from Japan because they expired. So in order to reapply or renew their passport, they had to go to the consulate and then renew. And then they were told, you are no longer Japanese. And then advised to submit this certificate that they lost Japanese nationality and a naturalization certificate. So they were like, it was like, it was really difficult for them. So some of them decided, okay, my parents are dying, I have to go home. So they did whatever told and then cried, like, I feel so bad I had to do it. I never wanted to give up my Japanese nationality, but then they had to get a special visa to come back to Japan. But some people who are like hard-headed, like I guess myself, said, no, I'm not going to do that. So some of them didn't come back to Japan and they had to hear their parents dead while they are waiting. So those kind of tragedies happen. And I found that this is totally unnecessary and stupid suffering that people are going through. So that's why I decided to sue the government. And as you might know, my case, the first decision at the Fukuoka District Court, I lost, but I'm not too unhappy. It's okay. So we appealed immediately. So now it is pending in the appeals court, also in Fukuoka. And I am determined to go all the way to Supreme Court. Although the preceding case, which was filed in Tokyo in 2018, went through district court in Tokyo and then appeals court in Tokyo and also Supreme Court. And then Supreme Court, without fully arguing our argument that this law is unconstitutional, this small panel with the five justices refused to argue and said it's not worth. So it was called not really judgment, but it was a decision to refuse to argue. So we have been, our lawyers group have been trying to get the full 15 justices panel to really argue. So that's what I would like also. So that maybe Mr. Naka is going to discuss later. So Japanese court, is tricky. Supreme Court is also tricky. Yeah, I think maybe I have talked about the main points. So
yeah, thank you. But before we hand over to Naka-san, then can we please just clarify a little bit more about the two main articles, which are 11-1 you mentioned, and Article 14. So as I understand, the 11-1 is regarding the kind of people that voluntarily obtain another nationality. Is that correct? So that was in your situation. Whereas Article 14, on the other hand, it seems to be not so strictly enforced, and this is a kind of responsibility rather than a legal requirement. So this is extending the debate more broadly around dual nationality. So this is kind of one of the things that we hope to clear up is Article 11-1 and Article 14. So
yeah, I think maybe I have talked about the main points. So
yeah, thank you so
you
much.
have immediately questions.
Some questions. Yeah.
Do you have any question?
Yeah, we have a few questions here. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It really kind of connects with APU on many different levels, including the uncertainty around the permanent resident status. Then can we please just clarify a little bit more about the two main articles, which are 11-1 you mentioned, and Article 14. So as I understand, the 11-1 is regarding the kind of people that voluntarily obtain another nationality. Is that correct? So that was in your situation. Whereas Article 14, on the other hand, it seems to be not so strictly enforced, and this is a kind of responsibility rather than a legal requirement. So this is extending the debate more broadly around dual nationality. So this is kind of one of the things that we hope to clear up is Article 11-1 and Article 14. So also, if you could tell us a little bit more about the turning point in 2017 when you were kind of denied renewal of your Japanese passport. You mentioned you were practically refused, but if you'd like to share any further question or ideas about that, then those are the two questions we have before going to Naka-san. So first of all, this is not my specialist field, and for me, and I think most of the audience, we're not so familiar with Article 11-1 and Article 14. Could you please clarify the difference? Thank you.
今の質問は、まず第一に、11条1項と14条の説明をしてくださいということですか？じゃあ、中先生からお答えするということでよろしいですか？
音声は大丈夫です。では、私から、今、質問の中にもありました、11条1項ですね。これは、今お話にあった通り、被告の死亡、自分の意思で 外国の国籍を取得する場合に適用されます。で、この場合、もうその即座に日本国籍がなくなってしまう。
original. Yeah.
だから複数国籍が発生しないんですね。はい。あれ、
聞こえてますか？
その一方で、14条の方は、すでに複数の国籍を持っている人に適用される規定です。例えば、出生、生まれた時に2つの国籍を、両親から受け継いだ人とかね、あるいは外国の人と結婚をして、その結婚をしたという行為によって外国の国籍を与えられた人、こういう人たちは複数の国籍を持っていることになります。日本の法律では。で、そういう人たちが、今は、そういう人たちに適用されるのが、国籍法の14条です。なので、11条1項の適用の対象になる人には、14条は、もともと無関係ということになります。そして、14条の適用の対象になった人は、例えば、生まれた時に2つの国籍を、手に入れた人たち。こういう人は、18歳になるまでに、18歳になって2年間かなの間に、日本国籍か外国の国籍か、どちらかを選択してくださいっていうふうに定められています。でもこれは、法律上の義務ではなくて、努力義務と言われています。だから、永遠に努力してれば2つの国籍を持ち続けられる。そして、形だけども、日本国籍を選択しましたっていうふうにサインすれば、それでも OK。あとは誰も文句を言ってこない。
誰も調べません。
ただ、おそらく有名な方で、大坂なおみさん。彼女は、そういうふうに選択しました。日本国籍を選びますって言って、多分アメリカの国籍も今持ってるというような状況になっています。はい、これが14条と11条1項の違いです。
ちょっと補足していいですか？ I like to add some points about the questioning person. She mentioned 自己の死亡 which is voluntarily, right? So this is a very tricky word. The government's insisting that because there is a law, Article 11-1, because the law exists, that people who naturalized to other countries' nationalities supposed to have known that they would lose Japanese nationality. So, therefore, they chose to lose Japanese nationality. But this is a great fiction, and it cannot be justified because people who give me emails, lately I have quite many, like sometimes 3 a day. I get emails about Article 14, but also Article 11-1. And then a lot of people, still today, there are many court cases now, and then the newspaper talking about this and that. Still people sending me emails saying, I have naturalized in the United States or whatever, and I am a dual national. So they think, okay, I got a US passport, US nationality, and I'm also Japanese after naturalization. So they often don't know about this Article 11-1. And still so many people, I think those people who give me emails like every week, probably like 60 to 70% of the people, still they think they are dual nationals. So we said in the court case that the government was too lazy and to be blamed that they didn't have any serious efforts to propagate this information. Because so many people who go overseas, they don't know about the nationality Article 11-1, never heard of. And we understand that we never heard that in high school, they teach this law. And even in law school, I talk to many like law students and lawyers. Usually they don't know this law, right? So it is very much like a stretch to expect all those people who go overseas from Japan, Japanese people, know Article 11-1. Most people don't know. Even when they naturalize at that time, on that day, at that instant they naturalize, they don't know. So they did not make any voluntary choice. This is totally governance fiction, that because there is a law, people must have chosen. So they cannot complain now because they knew the law and they chose voluntarily. Most people did not know or didn't really make a clear choice of losing Japanese nationality. So we are pointing out that this fiction should not be allowed. And then in the decision in the Fukuoka court, although we lost, that the group of lawyers said this is a progress. I didn't know what we lost, but then the lawyer said there is a progress, because in the decision there was a saying, the judge said, this decision of whether to lose nationality or not, such a serious decision, and you have to make sure that these people actually and seriously made voluntary choice. So this is a kind of a good statement. So we want to use this in the future appeal. And we have to really clarify that it's not true that we made a conscious decision. And most of the people I talk to in the US or in other places, they really cherish Japanese nationality. They don't want to become non-Japanese. I am that way too. So I think that the voluntary choice should be more seriously respected. So I think I suggested in the court case also that this Article 14 is also applied to us who naturalize in other countries, and make sure that we consciously make the choice to choose Japanese or not to lose Japanese nationality. We should be given that opportunity. So that's what we are insisting.
Now we can go to Naka-san for further historical clarification, and understand the 11-1 has been around since the Meiji era. Please tell us about that. Thanks.
じゃあ、ちょっとこのアーティクル 11-1 の歴史と立法の目的について説明しておきます。これ皆さんも関心があるところだと思います。もともとこの法律条項は明治時代1899年に作られた条文です。それが今はもう残ってしまっている。そしてね、この条文を作った目的というのが当時の記録にあります。その記録を読みますと、2つ理由が挙げられている。自分の意思で外国の国籍を取得した人に、日本国籍を残しておいても国家にとって利益がないというのがまず一つ。そしてもう一つが、複数国籍の衝突、国籍の衝突が起きる可能性がある。で、この2つです。で、当時は国籍といっても、今の日本国憲法の下とは違って、天皇が主権者でした。で、国民といっても天皇のために働く道具みたいな位置づけだったんですね。だからこういう条文ができたのは私も理解できます。でもその後、大日本帝国が戦争で負けて、新しい憲法を作りました。これの時に日本国民って主権者になったんですよね。で、憲法も天皇から与えられたものではなくなった。新しく国民みんなで話し合って契約して作った。そういう憲法に変わった。この時にそもそも日本国籍を法律で失わせてしまっていいのか、こういう問題を考えるべきだったんだけれども、考えないで今まで帰してもらっています。で、その後、国籍法、いろいろ変更があったんですけども、この11条1項はそのまま残っています。裁判の中で国がこれをどういうふうな理由で正当化しているか。一つは国籍を変更する自由を保障するっていう理由を新しく持ってきています。外国の国籍を取りたい人が自由に外国の国籍を取れるようにするための規定なんだと。ただ、これはこの理由で 11条1項が正当化されるのは、すごく限られたケースです。具体的には、日本の国籍を、失わないと、その国の国籍を取れない。そういう国の国籍昔、ルーマニアがそういう国だったみたいです。日本人がルーマニアに国籍を自分の意思で取ろうとする場合には、そのためには、日本の国籍をまず離脱してから来てくださいね。そういう人のために、法律を作ったって言ってますけども、これはちょっと無理があるかなと。そういう国がね、そういう国でない、例えばアメリカみたいな国でも、国籍を取りたい人にとっては国籍の変更の自由を保障する規定とは言えないだろうと。でやはり残っている一番重要な目的というのが、複数国籍の弊害の防止です。で、弊害、何があるんだろう。これが非常によくわからない。今、外国の国籍を取っても、自分の国籍を自動的に失わないで済む国が、世界の196カ国のうちの150カ国を超えています。この間、ドイツがそちらね、法律を改正したので、77% を超えてるかな、もうなってると思います。もうその事実を見たら、複数国籍に弊害ないだろうって僕たちは思うし、そういうふうに主張してるんだけれども、国も裁判所も、いや、弊害はあるんだと言っている。で、具体的にどんな弊害があると言ってるかを、6つあります。1つが、外交保護権の衝突。ちょっと分かりづらいんで、英語で調べてみました。Conflict of Diplomatic Protection。そしてもう一つが、2つ目が、Conflict of Conscription。Military Service。Conflict of Military Service。そして3つ目が、やはり Conflict of Tax Liability というのかな。そして4つ目が、Obstruction of Adequate Immigration。そして4つ目が、Obstruction of Adequate Immigration Control。よくわからない。多分外国のパスポートを使って日本に入ってくる人、日本を出入国する人がいたら嫌だっていう、ただそれだけです。5つ目がまたこれすごくて、複数国籍は重婚の温床になる。Breeding ground of bigamy。これも全く意味がない。複数国籍と全く関係ない話なんですね。弁護士をやっていると、たまにあります。日本の国籍だけの人が、外国で結婚して、日本で結婚して、実際重婚が生じている。そういうことはあるんだけれども、それと複数国籍は関係ないです。はっきり言って。で、最後6つ目がなかなかまたこれで、複数国籍を認めてしまうと、一つの国籍しか持たない日本国民が享受できない利益を認めることになる。
よくずるいって言われます。
なんかそういうそんなこと言ってるんですね。で、最初の外交保護権の衝突というのは、もう1954年かな。1955年に、今、ガザのケースで有名になっている ICJ、あそこの判決で、ノッテボームケースっていうのがありました。そこでも解決の方法はもう確立されていて、国際慣習法になっています。だからこれはまず論外。兵役、コンスクリプションの衝突って日本だとね、徴兵規制ないですから、まずありえない。納税の義務、タックスライビリティの衝突っていうのも、基本的に国籍と関係ない話なんですね。そういうよくわからないものをいろいろなんか並べ立てて、国も裁判所も11条1項は合理性的だって言ってるんだけれども、なんかこれやっぱり憲法から考えてもおかしいし、事実の世界の実際の状況から考えてもおかしい。で、なんでこんなことになってるのかなっていうのをどんどん考えていくと、結局多分日本の戦後、第二次世界大戦後の民主化というのがまだ不十分なまま終わっちゃってるというのがあると思います。そう言わざるを得ないな。
説明ありがとうございます。一つお聞きしたいのが、じゃあなぜたくさんの国が二重国籍を認めるという判断をしたのでしょうか。
はい。
ありがとうございます。
いろいろあります。例えばなんかよく言われるのが、外国、どうすればいいかな。 さっきちょっとオーストラリアの話が出ました。オーストラリアが2002年か3年ぐらいに国籍法11条1項と同じような規定を廃止しています。その時に言われてたのが、まず海外に行ってる自分の国民たちが現地で国籍を取らないと活躍できない場合がある。幸福も追求できないと。そういうことを考えたときに、海外で国籍を取得した人たちにも、自分の国の国籍、オーストラリアの国籍を持っててもらう方が、オーストラリアのためにもなるよねっていう話もあります。そして受け入れ国の側からすると、どうしてもやっぱり皆さん生まれ持った国籍っていうのにみんなアイデンティティを持っていたり、あるいは出身した国に家族もいたりして、つながりがある。だからなかなか移民してきた国の国籍を取ろうとしない人たちもいると。これって社会の在り方として良くないよねと。もっとなんかインクルージョンとかね、統合っていうこともあるけれども、もっと暮らしている自分たちの国に参加してもらった方が国の利益になるよね。そういうふうな発想が中心になって、どんどん複数国籍を認める国が増えてきたと言われています。あともう一つ、複数国籍っていうのは発生するのがもう避けようがないんですね。正直。もうみんな自分の国で好き勝手にどんどん国籍を与えられるわけで。で、そうしたらそれを調整する法律なんか条約もないから、複数国籍は自然な状態だと。もうこれに抵抗しても仕方がないし、むしろ受け入れて、良い社会を作っていこうっていうところに踏み切った国が多いってことだと思います。はい。
ちょっと今追加していいですか？ One point to add to those points. Lately, I think I just mentioned that Germany changed its nationality law. And then when it was reported by Nikkei Shimbun, it was said something like Germany did this to increase their international competitiveness. In terms of like high technology type of, IT related workers or highly intellectual property rich people, they tend to migrate around in Europe or in the US. A lot of people go from India to US or et cetera, et cetera. And when you have very strict laws like Japan, it is not liked by those internationally kind of moving people who might activate their economies and increase competitiveness. So in terms of that, Japan is very much like a loser, and Germany didn't want to be a loser. So it is becoming more welcome to people who come to Germany and then give much easier kind of naturalization process. I believe after 3 years staying, or 3 years or 5 years staying in Germany, and then parents get permanent residency, then the children can apply for citizenship. I think I read somewhere. So that's so much easier than like a Japanese nationality law. So when very highly intellectually activated people who might move around with high payment and then easier life, maybe will not choose Japan. They'll go to Germany or other places. So I think from that aspect too, Japan has a serious problem. Less and less competitive
So
internationally.
Even be a brain drain. Could be a brain drain scenario. So do we have any information about the situation in Germany? How did they change the law in Germany? For example, was there a court case, or did it become a political issue?
Yeah. Maybe one factor I read that it is a kind of a coalition government, which one side is quite progressive. I guess a Social Democrat Party. They wanted to promote more open society. And then they said something like, we have like 2 or 3 generations of Turkish people who may not like integrated too much. So we should hold them into Germany more seriously. So they decided to give nationality more easily.
I see. So it became a kind of political issue, and it became part of the wider political.
I think so.
discussion.
Political.
Yeah.
issue. Yeah, I guess Japan is very different.
So in Japan, I was just going to ask, because it is a hot potato and immigration is, of course, a very controversial issue.
Right.
So are there any politicians in Japan that would talk about this issue? Or
In
is it-
Japan?
in Japan, yeah. Is it not on the agenda for political debate in Japan?
Yeah, maybe not as much. And then, as you know, this LDP government is very stale, like all leaders are like old men. Sorry to say, but it's true. In their 80s or very old. So they have not much progressive thought. And maybe they are not thinking how Japan is losing in competition, international competition. So it could be like a big issue. I am lately thinking that we should be talking to like industry people who are more aware internationally in terms of like obtaining visa to US, for the people who serve in Japanese companies in the US. It's more and more difficult to get a visa to go and work. So if you have people like dual nationals, Japan, US, they don't need to get any visa. They can just go and work on either side, which is much better for competition, international competition. So I'm thinking maybe we should talk to those people, we should talk to political leaders too, but then we should talk to the industry people, I feel, so that they will be more familiar with the situation.
Yes, and talking to the business sector. And also, are there other NGOs, for example, non-government organizations connected with human rights, for example, that are pushing this case forward?
Like a Code 4, I think, is supporting us. I think Code 4 is supporting a lot of cases, administrative cases, sometimes against government or sometimes, different court cases, which may change Japanese society, and especially administrative cases against government, because Japan, the court system in Japan tend to always protect the government side. It's very rare that plaintiffs in these administrative cases to win against the government. So I think they are supporting. And I'm also thinking that after running out all the processes I could use in the Japanese court systems and etc., simultaneously as we promote our side of information in society in general like this, I'm thinking maybe we should work with the people. I just learned about the organization which is promoting governmental human rights kind of a protective organization, which UN advised Japan many times to establish. But unfortunately, Japan does not have that organization. If that organization is established, like a case like mine, I could go to that committee if there is a organization like that and say individually, my human right is violated, so please consider it. But then unfortunately, Japanese government is so tricky, being advised so many times, it still doesn't have that kind of organization. So maybe we should work on pushing the government to have an organization like that. So individuals can go and then say, well, we cannot really win everything in the court cases. So we should ask them to pick up issues like that, because we feel that our human rights are violated.
So talking about the basic provision of human rights, you mentioned the 1984 case, the case in 1984 when the law was amended. So I just wonder if there's any lessons that we can learn from that.
Yes, I think personally speaking, because I was not married, I was not a mother yet, but I was just about to have a baby around that time. And even before that, several years, I was in the kind of a women's movement to promote that change. And then it looked like it was so difficult and the government was so stubborn. We went to like a diet discussion and things like that. And as usual, old men, arguing things and said something like, well, a woman, when they marry, they take the surname of the husband. And then if a woman marries a foreign man, they should just go to the foreign country. Why you stay in Japan? This kind of way of talking. I think that we have a record of those people speaking in the diet. And we were like going, what? But I think that kind of thinking, okay, a woman who marries a foreign man should just go to his country and then stay there. You don't need Japanese nationality. So I think that kind of same logic applies to us who go to a foreign country and get the nationality, or those people who like left Japan, maybe they were like all troublemakers or cannot survive in Japan. So they went, like overseas. So they should just stay there. I think that's what we are told, right? Why you come back? Stay there, kind of way, like, how do you say, Kiming? I think in old days, immigration to US or Hawaii or whatever, it was like a little bit like Kiming, like extra people who cannot make it in Japan, they should just go out. So we have less people, and that was the time and thinking. And then I think some people are still in that kind of mentality. So the law was changed in 1984. And then the lesson we learned is that the government looks like really hard rock looking like. So we cannot change anything. And we felt kind of despair. But at the end, because our government somehow, I think, outside pressure from other countries that they have to participate in the convention for against all discriminations against women. I think it was, I think the Japanese government decided to join somehow, pressure, maybe not so willingly, but it did participate. And then I think that was the time that the mood changed. The government couldn't say no more that this is not discrimination against women. So they changed the law, maybe not so willingly, but changed. So what we learned is, even if it looks like not changeable, we should change, and then maybe possible to change the law. I feel it is going to be changed. I don't know when, but it's going to happen.
Well, it seems that your case is one of 4 court cases that are currently ongoing,
right,
surrounding
you want
this.
more.
Yes. So hopefully this is a positive movement and gradually gathering momentum.
Yes, I think maybe Mr. Naka can explain how things changed, right? 2018 when you started, and then my case and next case and next case, the society, you feel different, right?
Yeah.
Reaction is different. So please explain.
2018年に最初の裁判を始めました。これはヨーロッパに在住している8名の原告での訴訟でした。当時はね、皆さんご存知かわかんないけども、2016年ぐらいに、蓮舫さんという国会議員の国籍の問題がすごく取り上げられて、バッシング彼女も浴びてたんですね。で、その影響がまだあって、日本国内で、複数国籍、重国籍の問題を、オープンに語るのが、なんかためらわれるような、そんな空気がありました。で、それが、ヨーロッパに住んでる 原告たちにも伝わっていました。で、彼らは、まず最初に言ったのが、複数国籍を認めろという裁判にはしないでほしい。それをしたら絶対に潰されるというふうにリクエストしてきました。でも11条1項の立法目的が複数国籍の防止っていうことだったので、ここは絶対避けて通れないよっていう話をして裁判を始めたんですね。で、最初裁判を起こしたときはその原告に対してインターネットでの誹謗中傷的な書き込みもやっぱりありました。今でもあるみたいです。最近のケースでもね。でもそんな中でも裁判を起こしてこんな裁判が起きているよというニュースとかも流れていく中で、少しずつ日本社会の様子も変わってきたと僕は感じています。複数国籍のこととか11条1項の話をオープンに話せる空気がこの2018年からの6年間でどんどん広くなって大きくなってきているのを感じています。で、いつまでもさすがにさっきのね日本政府が言っているような不合理な目的、これについても僕ね、当時最初裁判始めた頃は日本政府がなんでこんな条文を作っているか僕たちもよく分からなかったんだけども、裁判の中でそういう非常に不合理な主張をどんどんしてくれるので、それを僕たちもコール4を使ったりとかしてどんどんインターネットで発信しています。で、それを読んだら学者さんたちもやっぱおかしいよねって言ってくれる学者がどんどん出てきている。裁判はこれまで東京地裁、東京高裁で最高裁、そして福岡の地方裁判所で判決があって、ダメだ、僕たち負けてはいるんですけども、これまでの中で、学者の中で、その判決が正しいって言った人は誰もいない。みんなおかしい、こうって言ってるし、さらには11条1項は、これ違憲だって言い出してる学者さんもたくさんいます。結構有名なカナダで今バンクーバーで教えている松井茂樹さんという教授、憲法の先生は、さらに進めて、憲法は基本的にやはり日本国籍の剥奪を許さないんだっていう、そこまで言い始めてくれている。で、あとはこういう話を裁判所、政治家、経済界とかにもどんどんもう押し込んでいけば、いずれ11条1項はなくなるだろうと、そんなふうに信じています。はい。
中さん、if I may ask, I wanted to know why are you actively participating, joining this movement, or I mean, this cases of dual nationality in Japan? なぜ
これに関
わるんです。はい。
僕2000年入る前かな。前日本に来てる外国の子どもたちの学習支援とか居場所づくりの活動に関わっていました。でね、今京都で弁護士をしてるんですけども、その前ですね、滋賀県というところで南米から来てる日系人の子どもたちがたくさんいたと。で、その子たちがやっぱり日本の学校に馴染めなくて、居場所が必要だってことでサポートしてる活動をしてたんですけども、その時の子供の一人が3つ国籍を持ってたのかな。ペルーとボリビアと日本かな。でも日本以外の国籍を持っているって誰にも言いたくないって、そういうような話は知ってたんですね。これは良くないだろう。そんな、自分をね、自分のあるがままを正しいって認めてもらえ、子供が否定してると。で、それで複数国籍を認めろっていう運動があったのを知って関わるようになりました。で、その活動をやってた人、活動の中心で日本でやってた人が以前スイスに住んでたんですね。で、今回の2018年に訴訟を起こした原告の中心の人と知り合いだったと。で、その人からスイスでこんな裁判をしようって考えてる人がいるんだけど、どうって言われて、面白いからやりましょうというふうになったら、もう
面白かったですか、これまで。
面白かったですね。大変だったけども、いつの間にか裁判が4つにもなって結構フラフラになりましたけども、
10件ぐらい 裁判が起きると、ちょっといろいろ変わってくるかもっていう話。
前の最高裁の裁判官をやっていた人がいて、その方のお孫さんがやっぱり11条1項で国籍をなくしちゃった。で、びっくりしたっていう人がおられてね、いろいろ話を聞いていると、こういう裁判が4つぐらい起こったら、そろそろ最高裁も重い腰を上げるかな、みたいな話をしています。もっと早くね、変えてやると思って今、いろいろ知恵を絞っています。
ありがとうございます。
So these are the kinds of things that are going on, but we can take a message of hope today from the hard work of both of our key speakers. And we really want to thank you for all of your efforts and for coming to APU and back to APU. And we hope that this is the start of the conversation. And we really hope to make a safe space within APU and especially within the CIL, which was really set up for exactly this kind of hot potato that really needs to be discussed, you know. And if we can't talk about it at APU, then where and when? So, yeah, with that, I'm going to hand over to the CIO director.
So, first, actually, I kind of requested Kondo Sensei and Naka-san in the beginning that we will give them some time to summarize the key message they would like to convey, just to make sure that the message you would like to convey to everyone is delivered. So may I first ask Kondo Sensei and Naka-san to take home the key message that you would like people to remember from you, and then I would close the session. Thank you.
Thank you. It was really, really nice to come here and meet you. And then people I do not see, remotely accessed people. Thank you very much for participating. And this university, I heard really good things before, and I wanted to come. So it was very nice to come here. And my, I guess, takeaway message is whatever we have our rights violated, we should speak out and fight. So I felt when I listened to your status about Brazilian being third generation, I don't think you should hide it, or you shouldn't be in a position that you have to hide it. And then like you are treated as a totally full Japanese, you know, like a Japanese, which is not true. So I think you should be respected as generation or third generation Brazilian Japanese. And then even at APU, you should have a special status that you are an international student, but Japanese citizen. And both you should be able to say loudly and then treated as you are. So I think our takeaway message is we should respect our own rights and then assert those rights, and then if necessary, fight for it. So I'm doing my fight, and it is not just my fight. I'm representing a lot of people behind me who cannot say who they are. A lot of people are hiding their status, legal status, and I don't need to hide anymore because I came out. So I'm representing them. And then when I started the lawsuit, I got messages from all over the world, and most of them are, thank you very much doing this for us. So I really feel that I'm representing a lot of people who might have suffered and who are still suffering. And so we should just do our own fight. Maybe you individually have different fights for your own rights, and just God bless you. That's my message.
Thank you, Kondo Sensei.
素晴らしいメッセージの後で何を言えばいいか非常に悩むんですけども、この立命館の APU、私4年か5年前に一度来たことがあります。ダイバーシティとかインクルージョンの関係で、京都弁護士会の仕事で来ました。ここの取り組み、特にLGBTQ とか、そういうなんかセクシャルマイノリティの人たちに対しても、すごい先進的な取り組みをしているという話を聞きつけて、弁護士会の委員会で来たんですけども、このダイバーシティとインクルージョンというのは、これからの日本にとっても、世界にとっても、もう常識にならなきゃならないし、すごく重要なことだと思います。 ぜひここで学んだことを、大学で学んだことを、研究したことを、社会に生かすために、生かしていってください。僕らもね、できる限りのサポート、一緒にやっていきたいと思いますので、この素晴らしい大学で学べていることを、ちょっと羨ましく思うっていうのが、最後のキーメッセージかな。はい。ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much, Naka Sensei and Kondo Sensei for coming to this event and also for being the voice of many. And we're really inspired by your sharing, by your experiences, and also I think by your courage and determination to share your story also with everyone and also to fight your case to the court. And as Joan Sensei has mentioned, I believe that one of the goals of the Center for Inclusive Leadership is to create a space, a safe space for everyone to talk about these issues that many people feel uncomfortable talking about. And so that everyone would have that chance or opportunity to share their story. So thank you very much, Kondo Sensei and Sang, and we are supporting your movement of making positive changes in Japan. I think the key takeaway that I got from today was learning about the arguments for one nationality policy and also the arguments or the reasons for why dual nationality or multiple nationality should be encouraged by governments as well. So thank you very much. And thank you very much for Joan Sensei for organizing this event and also for those who joined this event online and in person. Thank you.